Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. Super excited to be back here on a Monday rundown and a lot to get into, especially with March Madness, the start of spring football. But before we get into it, I'm excited to announce that I've partnered with Knick-Knack, the first officially licensed blind box company and who recently launched their first collection of mini mascots with USC. I got a blind box of my own and received the basketball figures you can see here if you're watching the video version. And because of how cool they are, I want to hook you all up with them and get so you can have your own USC mini mascot. So use my exclusive coupon code FIGHTONCC for 15% off on your next order. Get yours at getnicknack.com and be sure to follow them at knickknackworld on Instagram. So without further ado, let's now get into everything that's going on. So obviously, we'll start with some football news. Spring practice got underway on Tuesday, and excited to see how things are going to play out, especially with the QB room. I think it's a really interesting QB room with Jade Mayava returning after coming in and starting with 3 games left in the regular season and also started the bowl game. And then Hassan Longstreet especially, I think, is going to be really great. We'll see, obviously, how it goes, but like I said, super excited to see what he's got. He seems very promising, and it's a lot of credit to, as we've talked about before, Luke Heward really going out and getting him, especially with Julian Lewis's commitment sort of starting to turn a little shaky, and ultimately he did decommit. But like I said, really excited, and even excited to see what Sam Heward's got. So definitely, I think there's a lot to be excited about. Obviously, I think running back room's going to be good. Wide receivers, I think we got both Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, and then also excited to see who else steps up. And then obviously, I think defense, that's going to be, I think, really excited for that, especially with Danton Lynn signing that contract extension, and he's not almost got lured away to Penn State, but then decided to stay. And then it seems like the linebacker room especially, I think, is just the most intriguing, especially because of Rob Ryan, who's, just coaching the linebackers. But it just seems like guys like playing for him, and he's just honest all the time. Obviously, I mean, he seems really entertaining. I'm super excited he's on Instagram. Like, I can't wait to see the content he puts out there. But I think just a lot to be excited for. And then even just the O-line, I think that's probably the biggest question. But I still think USC is going to have a lot of great options. And as I've said, just with everything that's been happening, from just hiring Chad Bowden from Notre Dame and getting a really good front office staff around him, surround him as the GM, and then just everything that's been happening with just the uptick in recruiting, I think this could be a very special year for USC football. So really excited to just keep talking about this throughout the spring as well, just to start each episode. But I do now want to move to men's basketball, who starts their run in the college basketball crown tomorrow. The tournament does actually kick off today. So it's the inaugural college basketball crown in Vegas. It'll run from today through Sunday, and USC, who finished the season, who is 16-17, will face Tulane, who's 19-14 on Fox Sports 1 at 8 p.m. tomorrow night at MGM Grand Garden Arena. With a win, they will advance to the quarterfinals against Colorado or Villanova on Thursday, and then the semi, which will also take place at MGM Grand Garden Arena. And then with the semifinals and finals, will be semifinals on Saturday, final on Sunday, with those final 2 rounds taking place at T-Mobile Arena. So really excited just to see this team go out and compete one more time. Really get to see Eric Musselman, just see kind of his younger talent he's got, but then also just see who just get a chance to see all these like veteran guys who were only here for 1 year, yet still, really helped make an impact and just help, set the foundation for what's to come with the Must Bus era here at USC. So really excited for them, and best of luck. So track and field took part in the Battle on the Bayou, which was hosted by LSU from Friday and Saturday, and USC won 6 events in Baton Rouge. So up next, USC will take part in the Battle at the Beach, which will be hosted by Long Beach State in Long Beach on Friday. So best of luck to them this weekend. Swim and dive saw its men's team finish 15th at the NCAAs in Federal Way. That took place from last Wednesday through Saturday. And just overall, just congrats on just an incredible season. Just a lot of improvement from last year, moving up good number of spots, and just numerous All-American honors. So that's going to be the end of the swim and dive season. But congrats again to all of them on a great season. Your rowing team took part in the San Diego Crew Classic on Saturday and Sunday down in San Diego. And all boats advanced to the second day. And a congrats to the Novice A plus boat for winning their division and earning the Laurel Carholz Trophy. So up next for them will be the Big Ten Invite in Sarasota, Florida. That'll take place on April 18th and 19th. So meanwhile, soccer's got a bit of news. Congrats to Ines Darien on getting a call up to the U.S. Women's National Team U19, and she'll be with them in Fayetteville, Georgia from today until April 8th. So best luck to her. The team, meanwhile, played at Pepperdine against the Waves team on Saturday at 10 a.m. No scores reported. And up next, they'll take on the Legends U14 boys at Silver Lake on April 12th at 7 p.m. And I think this will be a good test. I think it'll be obviously getting to play against guys I think will really help test them. And that was something I remember talking with Maria Alagoa last week, which was a fantastic interview with her. You should really go check it out. So if you haven't watched it, go back and check out that episode of Behind the Caution Tape. But what Maria was really saying that I thought was good was she's saying like when she was growing up, she had to play against a lot of boys because there weren't as many girls back then. But I think she said like it helped test her and get her ready for, and set her up really well for where her career has gone and where it's going to go from here. And I'm really obviously excited for her next chapter. And when she signs with the team, I'll definitely want to keep up with her, especially with just how great she's an amazing person. I have a class with her as we talked a little bit about, and she's a really great person, and I really enjoyed that interview with her. So please go listen to it, and just best of luck to her and best of luck to soccer in their spring season. Men's golf, meanwhile, started in the Cowboy Classic, which is hosted by Wyoming and Maricopa. It's today and tomorrow, with the USC lineup being Antonio Seifa, Gavin Ariella, Jack Buchanan, Jack George, and Nicholas Dominguez. So best luck to them in these 2 days. Women's golf had a bit of a tough outing at the Charles Schwab Women's Invitational hosted by TCU at the Colonial Country Club. That took place last month on the 24th and 25th. They came in tied 13th, finished 37 over par, 877 total score. Granted, it did seem like everyone's scores were higher, so it was a bit of a tougher event, but it was just overall tough weekend. So hoping to see this team bounce back. So Catherine Park finished tied 37th overall. Jasmine Koo and Kylie Chong finished tied 46th. Bailey Shoemaker finished tied 53rd, and Cindy Koo finished tied 58th. So up next, Jasmine Koo, Park, and Shoemaker are the current members of the team who will take place in the Augusta National Women's Amateur. That'll be taking place from Wednesday to Saturday. And in addition, also, it'll be really exciting to see incoming recruit Sarah Hammett also joined them as well. I think she joins the team next year, I believe. So really excited for the four of them, and best of luck. Men's tennis split their weekend, losing 4-2 to Washington on Friday, but beating Oregon 4-2 on Sunday. So against UW, the Huskies got the doubles point, and Matteo Morazzi and Connor Church were the only Trojans to win their singles matches, so USC ultimately fell. Against Oregon, USC did get the doubles point, with Peter Matt Carley and Niels Hoffman winning their singles match to help the Trojans win. So USC now sits at 10-6 on the year overall, 4-2 in conference play. So up next, they got a triple header week. They face UCLA tomorrow night at 5. Bruins are 7-6 overall, but 5-0 in conference play. They go to Penn State on Friday. Nittany Lions are 11-8 overall, but 0-6 in conference play. That matchup duel will be at 1. And then Ohio State, who is 17-2 overall, 6-0 on this in conference play on Sunday at 9. So it's going to be an extra long week with the UCLA duel rescheduled for here. It was initially rained out a few weeks ago. So USC needs to be ready, especially for UCLA, who's been playing strong since conference play started, and Ohio State, who looks like to be one of the best teams in the country this year. Women's tennis had a tough weekend, lost 4-3 on Friday at Penn State, then lost 4-1 on Sunday at Ohio State. So against Penn State, PSU did get the doubles point, And even though and but Charney, Imi Haddad, and Jana Hossam all won their singles matches, but USC wasn't able to get a fourth singles win to help secure secure the mat duel. But then against Ohio State, USC got the doubles point, but unable to win a singles match. So USC now sits at 9-5 on the year, 3-3 overall. So up next, they'll host Minnesota, who's 9-10 overall, 1-5 on Saturday at noon, and then they'll host Wisconsin the following day, who's 13-1, 6-0 on Sunday at 9 a.m. So the Minnesota game should go smooth, but you got to be ready for the Badgers if you're this team because Wisconsin's only lost once, and they were looking like one of the best teams in the Big Ten. So as USC, you got to come out ready. And I think this team has shown they can compete with the best. They just got to be able to do it at a sustained level. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing for this team this season. Beach volleyball took part in the Death Volley Invitational that was hosted by LSU over the weekend. On Friday, they lost to host number 11 LSU 3-2, and then number 7 FS Florida State 3-2. And then on Saturday, they beat number 8 Texas in the team's first meeting. It was only played to decision due to weather, and because of weather, the TCU duel was also canceled. So it was canceled. So it was definitely one duel less than the team was initially expecting to play, but still, I think some good experience. Obviously, this team may slide as they've now sitting at 16-6. I expect they'll drop from number 4, but they're still a long ways. And obviously, really, as long as you just do well in the MPSF tournament, continue to and get into the NCAAs, Dane Blanton has this team on a tear in the NCAAs. I mean, they've won it 4 straight times. So I think that, 16 straight NCAA tournament wins. So don't count this team out once it comes to the Natties. They know how to win. And really, one team I really want to highlight that's been doing really well together this year, just from getting to see them play together and get better, but also just from seeing how they've been doing as I've been, looking at the results and doing my research every week, is Ashley Pater and Kennedy Coakley. They really seem to be playing well together. They've won 12 straight duels together and are 16-2 on the season. So they had some hiccups early on, but they've definitely proven that they are a really good team, especially on that twos court. So really excited for both of them. They're both phenomenal people, great athletes. So really excited to see them continue just be leaders and really step up big with this USC team. So up next, USC will take part in the Best in the West competition at Main Beach in Laguna. So not too far from I'm from in Newport, but probably won't. I don't think I'm gonna make it down there, but still relatively close. So they got 4 duels this weekend. On Friday, they will face Stanford, who's 16-6 at noon, Hawaii, who's 10-12 at 2, and then on Saturday they face Washington, who's 11-9 at noon, and then North Florida, who's 17-1 at 3. So USC has played all these opponents this season except for North Florida, and I think you got to take advantage of that to win, but also understand these opponents also know USC, so it works both ways. But then obviously I think USC should win that one, but North Florida is 17-1. That doesn't matter who you're playing. That is an impressive record. So not sure who else. So yeah, it just doesn't matter who you play. If you can get to 17-1, like that's impressive in my book. Hats off to you for that. So USC's just got to come ready and looking to, bounce back and have a really good weekend. And I'm really confident they will. So on to lacrosse. And before I get into the results yesterday, congrats to Maddie Dora and Alexis Niblock to being named to the IL Women's Midseason All-American honorable mentions. So definitely 2 big players to watch out for, especially as this team continues through their first season in the Big Ten. So USC did lose to number 3 Northwestern 17-8 yesterday at Dignity Health Sports Park. It is head coach Lindsey Monday's alma mater, and they've been one of the best programs in the country. So definitely a tough loss, but still, obviously, the Wildcats are a very good program, and Isabel Vitale led with 3 goals against the Wildcats. The USC had a strong first quarter, but NU played better throughout the game, especially in the second half, and had a really strong fourth quarter that just broke the game open for good and just helped them secure it. So USC is now 8-4 on the year, 1-3 in Big Ten play, and they held at 18th despite the loss to the Wildcats yesterday. So up next, USC has another big test against Maryland, who's 7-2 overall, 3-1 in Big Ten play on Saturday at 1. That game you can watch on the Big Ten Plus. It'll take place at Dignity Health Sports Park. So another tough test for USC against a good conference foe and USC. And just having talked to Katie Ramsey, just the Big Ten is one of the best conferences in the is probably the best conference in the country for lacrosse. So USC's got to understand that they're going to be facing some tough opponents, but they've also shown they can beat some of the best too. Especially, I mean, you saw that in taking down Ohio State last weekend on the road in Columbus. Men's volleyball, meanwhile, continues to stay hot. They beat Grand Canyon 3-1 on Friday and then followed up with another 3-1 win on Saturday in the rematch. So on Friday, Jack Duker led with 20 kills, and on Saturday, Dylan Klein led with 16. USC matches kind of followed a pretty similar script, I'd say, in just terms of how they played out. USC started really strong, winning the first two sets of both matches, but then the Lopes did start to heat up in the second half of both those matches, taking the third set pretty decisively, but then a fourth set was back and forth pretty much until maybe close to the end, and then USC finally did pull ahead. But the Lopes were definitely given a fight, especially in the second half of those matches. So they're a good team, but credit to USC for really finding a way to do well and get the job done against the Lopes, and then so that puts USC now at 18-2. They're on a nine-match win streak. They're 6-0 in MPSF play, and they held today at number 3 in the country after just another incredible week. So really excited for this team, and they got two big matchups this week when they'll host Pepperdine, who is 14-6 overall and 6-2 in conference play, on Thursday at 7, and then follow up with the rematch, which will be at Pepperdine on Saturday at 5. Both games are watchable on Big Ten Plus. So USC, I think, is positioning itself really well for the stretch run here, especially now it has tied its season-long winning streak when they start at 9-0 before dropping two matches to UCI, but they've rebounded really well since then, especially with how they've been performing. So really excited for this team and can't wait to see the game on Thursday. I think it's going to be a really good game, and especially I know a few guys. There's former Trojan George Dyer on there, and then I played with at Balboa Bay with setter Gabe Dyer and outside hitter Brendan Reed on a team that would win the 18 Open National Championship my senior year. So a lot of good players on that squad. So I'm really excited to see that. Not just for the match, but also see those guys, especially because it was some great memories with especially Gabe and Brendan. So a lot of respect for those guys, but really excited to see this game this week. So women's water polo is now 24-1 and 2-0 in 3-0 in conference play, and likely to move to the number 1 spot this week after taking down then number 1 Stanford 12-11 on Saturday in an absolutely thrilling 1-versus-2 showdown at Watangzu. So USC getting the 12-11 win, as I said. Tilly Kearns led with 6 goals against the Cardinal in a game that saw USC fall behind early, but the team made a furious comeback in the fourth quarter to win it 12-11. And once USC tied it and took the lead, it kept going back and forth, with Alma Jacobi getting the final goal to win it for USC with less than a minute left. So just really a great game from the Trojans. Just see them do so well. And obviously, it's probably one of the greatest environments I've seen at Watangzu. Just a lot of people showed up for that one. I mean, you saw Justin Dietich was there to support Tilly Kearns, and his whole family was there. His dad, Bill, was there. So a lot of people I knew there. It was just super great environment. Like I said, the greatest environment seen at Watangzu for any sporting event, especially just 1-versus-2. Those like games where USC and Stanford are just at the top of the country. Those are just some of the best games. So it was really exciting to catch that one between those two squads. So up next, team is off this week before hosting Arizona State on April 12th, with its stretch run approaching and just 4 games left before the MPSF tournament and then ultimately the NCAAs. So looking forward to seeing this team when they hit the water again in a couple of weeks. Baseball, meanwhile, went 2-2 on the week, losing 12-9 against UCI on last Tuesday when they hosted them at LMU. And then while USC did start strong, UCI also had more solid innings and just capitalized on scoring the guys they got on base and what turned into just a total slugfest. And then USC, they then went to Bloomington to take on Indiana and took 2 of 3 against the Hoosiers. And there was some schedule rescheduling due to a doubleheader on Friday, of having to change it from Friday to Sunday to doing a doubleheader on Friday and then moving the final game to Saturday due to weather. So the Trojans did finish the series a day early. So they won 10-3 in the first game of the doubleheader on Friday, lost 13-6 in the second game, and then the rubber match on Saturday, they won 13-12. So Ethan Hedges has just had went 3 for 4 in both games on the doubleheader, and then went 3 for 5 on Saturday and had 4 home runs on the weekend. And then Indiana started strong in game 1, but USC got hot in the fourth and then took the lead in the seventh and never looked back. Game 2, IU started strong and just never looked back. And then game 3, USC was down 12-3 and scored 10 unanswered runs to win it 13-12 with Braden Dowd hitting a 2-run homer in the top of the ninth to get the lead. And then Ethan Hedges, who has been really phenomenal as a pitcher, coming in to record the save on the mound, moving from third to the mound. And like I said, I've been impressed with Hedges, not only just how much he's really improved offensively at the plate, but also the fact that he's gotten back into pitching. And he initially, it seemed like was going to come in as a two-way player, but then he didn't pitch for 2 years. And then I think then he kind of got back into it this fall, and he's really dominating on the mound and really doing a great job as the Trojans closer. So he has been really fun to watch out there. CSC now sits at 16-11 on the year, 6-6 in Big Ten play. So up next, they'll host San Diego State tomorrow at 6 at Great Park. That game is watchable on the Big Ten Plus. Aztecs are 9-19, and then before then hosting Ohio State down in Great Park from Friday to Sunday, with the first pitch time 6:30 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. All 3 games are watchable on the Big Ten Plus. The Buckeyes are 8-16 on the year, 2-7 in Big Ten play. So USC hasn't faced SDSU 2 years ago when they hosted them in a 3-game series at Dado Field when the Trojans before construction started on the stadium, and then they lost to OSU last year in Arizona. So we're really excited for this week. I'm going to be at all 4 games. And then my dad, as some of you probably know, went to San Diego State, so a little family rivalry. Maybe he'll come out, especially because it's just Irvine, and as we're in Newport, so easy drive for him. So we'll see if he goes. And then pitching coach Sean Allen was on staff at Ohio State last year before coming to USC. So these are 4 good opportunities for USC to get wins and just improve their positioning in the Big Ten standings, as they will already have played half their conference games now, which is kind of crazy to think about. And then finally, our final team tonight we'll talk about is women's basketball, currently in the Elite Eight. But before we get into that, I do want to say congratulations to assistant coach Courtney Jaco for being named to the WBCA 30 under, being named a WBCA 30 under 30 honoree. So last Monday, USC won 96-59 against number 9 Mississippi State at Galen Center in the second round of March Madness before winning 67-61 against Kansas State in Spokane in the Sweet 16 on Saturday. So against the Bulldogs, Kiki Iriafen led with 36 points against M State, and it was a very emotional game after JuJu Watkins left with a torn ACL, and she'll have to unfortunately miss part of next year. That said, though, I'm still really confident in this team, and I think everyone stepped up on the team that night. And it was definitely the most emotional I've ever felt the Galen Center crowd, just really booing Mississippi State after both Watkins had to be carried off and then Malia Samuels briefly left the game after going down hard and hitting her head. Fortunately, Samuels does seem to be okay. But it was definitely tough seeing Watkins go down, especially with how she's been playing. Like, you wouldn't expect that to happen to her. It was just super emotional. I get it's part of the game. It was still just tough to see it happen to someone like JuJu, who's just already an absolute legend and has really helped draw more people into the game. So just really an emotional game. And then against Kansas State, USC was really playing with JuJu. I mean, they walked out with JuJu t-shirts, and just the love and support that JuJu's gotten throughout the week has been really heartwarming to see. But against K-State, Kennedy Smith led with 19 points, and then Avery Howell, starting in place for Watkins, had 18 points, and then Kaylee Heckel also stepped up with 8 points and helped propel the Trojans to the win, especially since Iriafen had only 7 points and was being double-teamed very heavily by the Wildcats throughout the game. And then So obviously USC did show they were missing Watkins, but I still think this team can win. But they're going to need Kiki Iriafen to be scoring how she did against Mississippi State because USC is facing UConn in the Elite Eight tonight at 6 in Spokane. Game's watchable on ESPN. I'm going to go to Rock and Riley's to watch it. But UConn is going to be looking for revenge after losing to USC in December at home. And USC is going to need everyone to be at their best and playing like how they did against Mississippi State because UConn is very good and has Paige Beckers, who dropped 40 points in the Sweet 16 against Oklahoma and is likely the number one pick in the WNBA draft. So USC is going to need to come ready for a team that's also really looking for revenge and also a rematch of last year's Elite Eight in March Madness. So where the Trojans did lose, but I'm still confident in this team. I am confident they will win, but everyone is going to have to be playing their absolute best. And then not just for this game, but then for the Final Four and then obviously the national championship. So USC is going to really need to have everyone step up with Watkins out. With a win, though, USC would face UCLA in the Final Four on Friday. So rematch. So the fourth round of the Crosstown Showdown this year would take place in Florida. And then the final would be against South Carolina or it would be TCU or Texas, depending on how that other Elite Eight game goes, and then who would win that game between the Gamecocks and then either the Longhorns or Horned Frogs. So USC, like I said, has to play its best games of the year with JuJu Watkins out. And if they do that, I am still confident in them winning. And that is why, and I am very confident in this team that they can do that. So that is why I am not giving up on USC having a shot at still winning the national championship. They've made it this far. They've proven they can win without JuJu Watkins. It's just going to take everyone doing their absolute best for USC to get the job done. So that's going to wrap it up. But before we go, last week I went 4-2 in the games I was at. The women's basketball win against Mississippi State. Baseball's loss against UCI. Men's volleyball's 2 wins against GCU. Women's water polo win against Stanford, and the Lax loss to Northwestern. So that puts me at 83-27 on the season, 295-109 all time, and 295-109 all time. This year I'm currently 5-6 at baseball, 17 and I'll finish women's basketball season 17-1. I'm 0-2 at Lax, 9-1 at men's volleyball, and 3-0 women's water polo. So I won't be going to Florida just due to school. It's just gonna be too tough. But my plans are for the week: baseball on Tuesday against San Diego State. So I'll do baseball on Tuesday against San Diego State, men's volleyball against Pepperdine on Thursday, and then I'll be at all 3 games for baseball against Ohio State this week. And then obviously I will be following all of basketball. Like I said, I'll be going to Rock and Rallies tonight to watch the Elite Eight matchup, which should be a really great game. So really looking forward to all of it this week. So it's going to be a really exciting week for USC sports. So that's going to do it here behind the caution tape. Thank you so much to everyone who's been subscribing and listening and just really been supporting me and showing a lot of love. It's just been a ton of fun doing this, as I said, and your support, but just listening, subscribing, downloading just means the world to me. So be sure to follow me everywhere on social media at CrashLit. Check out my website, crashlit.com, and be sure to get your knick-knack blind box using my promo code FightOnCC for 15% off your next order. Like I said, they're really cool, so don't know what you'll get. I love this basketball one. I feel like it's an appropriate time, especially with March Madness. Even though I got sent a blind box, I feel like if they did know, they nailed it on, especially with the timing. So shout out to Knick-Knack. Go to getknickknack.com. Be sure to follow them at knickknackworld on Instagram. So that's going to do it here on Behind the Caution Tape. I'll see you all next week on the next Monday Rundown. And fight on.